everyone, this is Iveta again with Tony and Natalie, and Tony is an orthotist and he will explain to us why do people actually need to have their babies in helmet and what it's causing and all the other information. So I hope this helps everybody. So Tony.
Well, hello. So we'll kind of go over
Really like those
plants. So kind of go over the different head shapes that we typically see. Usually it's in 3 different categories. It's called brachiocephalic, where we're kind of just long and narrow. This one's getting more obsolete just because we're sleeping on our backs now. Okay. One of the most common ones is brachiocephaly, where we're just kind of wider and kind of flat throughout the back. And the other one's plagiocephaly. You can kind of see it right here. That kind of shows you what plagiocephaly is. The positional one, where we're kind of flat on one side, and you can see how everything kicks forward. So we end up getting an ear shift and this frontal bossing that can mess with some of the facial asymmetries. Okay, a lot of times the main one I see is a kind of a hybrid where it's the plagiocephaly mixed with the brachiocephaly, just because they're laying on their backs, and then if they have a preference, they get a little bit of both.
Gotcha.
Okay, so kind of these two are what we usually see, or a mixture.
Now, may I ask you, can babies be born with brachiocephaly as well?
Yes, so especially if it's a natural birth, just the birthing, we come out kind of that coney shaped anyways. Our generation, we were laid on our sides and bellies, so our heads are like water balloons when we're first born, so when we're laying on our sides, we just naturally elongate it out. Now kiddos are laying on their backs, so if they're laying on their backs and they come out coney, then you already have a disadvantage there.
Okay, gotcha.
So, you know, swaddling is a good option if they're having trouble sleeping, but it holds them still. It kind of keeps them from moving. So I would really try to do some positioning, you know, with like pillows or like a turtle. You know, when they're real young, you can get a little head net with a little piece that you can slide back and forth just to get them to have a little bit of a preference every other night on the different spot. Because if you're laying in a swaddle straight on your back, you're going to get more pressure on the back, so you're never going to get that correction.
Gotcha.
You know, that's the same thing with noggin nest. Some parents say that that works really well. I think that stuff will work as long as they're young. Once they start getting older, they're getting stronger, more opinionated, and I think it kind of starts going out the window there.
Yes.
So those are the kind of the different shapes that we see. And the flat spot typically occurs when they're born to 2 months. At 2 months, their heads harden up enough that you can say, okay, I can see a flat spot. Kind of from when you notice it to 4 months, you can see a great deal of change if they cooperate. And then from 4 to 6, you can still see some. Then it starts getting harder and harder without a helmet, especially for the kiddos that are more asymmetric. I like the helmet between 4 and 7 months. I never really helmet before 4 months unless if it's a premature fusion surgery one, which is pretty rare. But you can helmet up to 14 months. Okay. The older they are, the less growth they're going to have and the less correction. So you just have to kind of take that into mind.
So 14 months is basically the latest when you would start with helmet?
Yeah, you know, I just seen one that was 18 months and it was a situation and parents wanted to do the most they can for their child, which I'm more than happy to. I just don't know how much growth they're going to have. I mean, they grow a large portion of their head size within the first year, and then you're also dealing with their temperament and motor skills. If they want it off once they start getting older, they're going to take it off, and then there goes our treatment. You know, and I do want them to wear it between 21 and 22 hours per day. You know, we don't know when they're growing, and we're trying to catch that growth. And that's how the helmet works. So just say like on a kiddo that's asymmetric like she was, off the scan that we did, it actually carves out their noggin, and then off that negative mold, we build up the flat spots. And then we actually pull the helmet to that. So we're making slight contact on the prominent areas where we're trying to get them to not grow and try to encourage it to go to those flat spots where the voids are. So the way the helmet works is it works off redirectional of the brain growth, pushing it where we want it. And then whenever they're laying on their backs, they sink down into the helmet and it puts all the contact there doing the positioning. So it works 2 different ways.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
So then the helmets are basically made for the specific baby, so
Yes.
it's based on the scan.
Yep.
Now, how do they make it? Is it done right here, or do you make it, or who
We
makes
used
that?
to make it in-house. We
Okay.
use Ortho America. I love their scanning system, and they actually carve out their noggin
Oh.
in Orlando, and then they actually pull the helmet there. They
Okay.
kind of send me it kind of rough to where I do my trims, and then I can kind of fine tune it and tweak it whenever you guys come in for that initial fitting.
Okay, and then there is so many kinds, so how do you know which one's best for your baby, or does it matter which facility you go to, or?
It's really up to the orthotist and what they're comfortable with. I've used a couple of different types. I really like ours. It's a St. Louis style that we had FDA approved. It's kind of a hybrid between the original Star Band, where it's a little thicker of a foam, where they carve out a lot more of the foam for adjustments, and the Doc Band, where it's a little thinner. It's kind of, all of them are going to work as long as you have an orthotist that is confident and well knowledge, and you wear it and they're at a good age, you're going to get good results.
Okay, awesome.
If they're happy, the kiddos are going to be happy. They do
Yeah.
well. You know,
Yeah.
we look at these helmets and say they look miserable. You're just busy.
Yes.
You know, we look at these helmets, and if it was us, we would probably burn it after the first day. But we're stuck in our ways. These kiddos, they don't know what's normal. They don't.
Right.
You know, they're not. You know, pre-programmed to hate the helmet, so they do really well. You know, if they're happy, they're going to be happy. If they're colicky and fussy, you're going to still have the same colicky, fussy baby. It does not change their mood.
What about nosy babies? Does it help with nosy babies?
Nope, not at all. It actually starts providing protection. So I've had parents
Yes.
come in here with tears, just, you know, scared about the helmet. And by the end of the treatment, I have to hold those parents' hands almost and say, every baby survived without a
Yeah.
helmet, take it off.
Yeah.
And they realize it's no big deal.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not, you know, I would say 10 years ago, it was kind of taboo, you know, so a lot of parents were worried about, you know, what people are going to think. You know, now, again, with COVID going on, you're not going out as much, but I used to
Right.
hear stories all the time from parents going, oh yeah, I went to the grocery store and I had helmet talk with two different moms. You know, it's normal. Most people that would say anything is usually elderly that have never been around anybody with it, or little kids.
Right.
You know,
right.
but most people know what they are. And if this is the worst thing you got to deal with, life's good.
Yes.
You know, ever since the whole SIDS thing and the whole back to sleep, it's reduced SIDS dramatically. In some cases, I heard like 50%. But it's also raised helmeting 50% or more. Of course, there's going to be more helmeting cases, but any SID case that we can stop is a good thing.
Right.
If it's 50% in cases, that's great. This is
Right.
correctable. The other option is not. You know, so the
Absolutely.
biggest thing is tummy time, you know, repositioning. If you start noticing a flat spot, you know, start really trying to get them to kind of favor it, start looking on that side. You can always talk with orthopedic surgeon or a plastic surgeon. They usually are the ones that need a ratio script for a helmet.
Okay.
So you know, talk to your pediatrician, get the referral, go see a plastics. They're not going to tell you you need a helmet 100%. We don't helmet till 4 months, so if you go in earlier, they can really give you key positioning stuff. They can check for torticollis, that neck tightness that we'll talk about, and they can kind of help you, maybe keep you from getting a helmet. And then, like with my office, if you guys come in and you're not sure about what to do, if they're young enough and you want to try some aggressive repositioning, I can always scan, pull them back in a month, do another scan, and we can actually overlap that head shape and say, okay, they are improving.
Yeah.
No, they're not. What do you want to do? You
And I know that was so helpful for us because when we came in, of course, like as a first-time parents, you want to do the best for your child, but
Yep.
you don't want to torture them with something. But she's been so good in that helmet, and I was really shocked, like how she
Yeah, you
doesn't
did
care
believe
at
me, did you?
all.
Yep.
But
Yep.
yeah, but she's just a happy baby now. So she is just already crawling, and she's even starting to standing up herself. Do you think that there's like any side effects with like a milestone hitting with the helmet? Did you have an experience with anybody experiencing that?
I've had some parents, you know, say that the helmet is kind of holding back some milestones on a kiddo that's maybe a little delayed in the milestones already. I don't see much of that though, because the helmets are only a couple of ounces, especially the ones that I use. Some are heavier than others. but it should not affect too much there. As long as you have neck clearance where they can get on their bellies and look up, and it's not hitting them in the back and keeping them from looking down, it should not really affect much on milestones. I think it actually helps just because they get a little bit more fearless. It becomes a crash helmet for them.
They sure are.
So it does help there. You know, coming out of the helmets, because they are a little bit more fearless, I usually say just cold turkey it once we're done. They learn a lot quicker if you just take it off and let them whack themselves a couple of times than putting it on half the time and then not knowing when they're protected and when they're not.
Right.
So,
So thank you so much, Tony. I really
welcome.
appreciate all this information.
No problem.
So thank you so much, and I hope it helped you guys. And if you have
hopefully
any
it helped.
questions, then let us know.
Yep, thank you.